One of the things that I was attracted to about her originally was just she's kind of goofy in a fun way, just like a little, almost like a kid. So we can go shopping and have fun. We can just kind of sit around the house and have fun. I mean, we don't have to do anything extravagant. It's just enjoying each other's company.
I can't imagine spending time with anyone else besides him. It's just fun. And that's the other thing, you just have to have fun.
We like to try a lot of different restaurants. We're big food people.
Yeah, what's your favorite kind of food?
Ethiopian.
Even if we went to McDonald's for dinner and came home and watched TV, it was just our time together.
We like to watch TV stuff, like on Netflix. Watch 24, watch Jack Bauer, Blow Up the World.
He does have to figure out how to kind of sometimes just woo me, and sometimes I have to do the same thing for him because it's 32 years, you can get into a lot of ruts.
How many of you went to McDonald's this week? It's cracked me up every time. Hey, really quickly, as we get started this morning, if you have not known this yet, the flu is raging through the south side of Indianapolis, and we actually had two. We had both someone scheduled to be in Ignite, which was the 5th and 6th grade, and then we had a backup, and both of those are home. Either puking themselves or with their kids puking. And so actually, Hunter was going to do announcements today, and so I'm actually going to end up doing announcements, so you're welcome. I'm just kidding, and Hunter actually is going to be back in Ignite. So if you have a 5th and 6th grader in here, and you're like, man, I know today, Dave said last week this was PG, it is, and you want to slide them out into Ignite right now, you can do that. We'll just all watch you as you walk out. No, I'm kidding. But you can go ahead and do that. So we encourage you to do that at this point in time, and you can enjoy that. Hey, we're in this series called From This Day Forward, and we're talking about marriage. We're talking about relationships and engaging with those things. And we've got an icon for each one, and we've got some T-shirts if you want to get those. I love it because on the back it says failure is not an option. If you weren't here for the first week, man, I encourage you, get online, find the first week. You can listen to the other one as well. But the first week, I began with the statistics of what impact divorce has, not only on husbands and wives and kids, but also on society as a whole. And it is really, when you actually dive into the numbers, it is groundbreaking. It is eye-opening. It is tragic to see the impact of that. And so that's why we say, man, failure is not an option. We want to do everything that we can to help people who are married, whether it's your first marriage, your second marriage, your third, whatever. We want to help you make that successful because we know that that is really an important thing, not just for you as a couple and your kids, but also for society as a whole and in doing that. And so each week we've had a particular icon or a particular statement that we're making. And so the first week we talked about seeking God, that really your one is God and your two is your spouse or your potential spouse. And if you're not married, you should be seeking the one while preparing for your two. If you are married, then the two of you should be seeking God together with your spouse in doing that. And so seeking God. Then last week we talked about fighting fair and the reality that it's not so much whether you fight, because we're all going to fight. We're going to have disagreements. We're going to have stuff. It's how you fight. How you fight. Are you one of those people that has to win? If so, guess what? Winning a fight in marriage isn't a win. It's just a loss. And then today, we're going to be talking about having fun. 3 specific ways that as a couple, you need to make sure that you're having fun and enjoying those relationships. Then next week, we're going to talk about staying pure. And you're like, hey, we're married. I thought that was kind of a given with that. And the reality is that it's not. There's a lot of things in marriage that can create impurities in your marriage that can taint your relationship to the point where it causes a lot of issues. And then finally, we're going to talk about never giving up. The fact doesn't matter how hard it gets, how difficult it is, that there is a way out. One of the things that we say around here, at least I say it, maybe other people say it, I'm not sure. One of the things I say is that I believe that every marriage is really just 1 or 2 small changes away from being a great marriage. Because the reality is that if you've got an issue in your marriage, it's not just that issue that it's affecting. It's affecting your relationship with other people. It's affecting your relationship with your kids. It's affecting your relationship at work. It's affecting how you interact with each other, how you see each other, how you talk to each other. And so you go, well, how can fixing that one thing actually create that? Well, if you can fix and change that one thing, there's a domino effect that begins to take place. And it begins to make other changes in your life that you didn't even realize were connected to that thing. And what they were is they weren't really a cause. They were the symptom. They were something that was pointing to the fact that there was something else that was going on in your marriage. And so we're going to be talking about that for the next 2 weeks. So I encourage you to be here. If you missed that, they're going to be online. Usually they're posted by Monday afternoon sometime, and then we repost them on Facebook as well on either Wednesdays or Thursdays. I can't remember which, and you can find those on Facebook as well. So let's get started this morning. We're talking about having fun. We're talking about actually just enjoying each other's company. And so I got going when I was doing some research for this message. I thought, I should really kind of dig into what people have said about marriage and trying to find some really good quotes. And I came across a quote from Frank Sinatra. If you know who he is, he was the guy, right? He sang all those crooner songs. He was known as Old Blue Eyes and the Sultan of Swoon. And, he and his buddies were all together, and so he was known as the chairman of the board. He was just cool, and, women loved him. Men wanted to be him, and it's like, man. And so I came across this quote, and I thought, all the other quotes pale in comparison to this. This guy just really nailed it. So this is Frank Sinatra's quote. Man doesn't know what happiness is till marriage, and by then it's too late. So, yeah, see, some of you are like, what did he just say? I thought he said it was good. Yeah, so now some of you are like, man, I will never listen to Frank Sinatra ever again. But here's the reality. Marriage is hard. It's tough. It's difficult. It's not easy all the time. And so the reality is if fun has been sucked out of your marriage, man, it's tough. It's hard because if you don't have fun in your marriage, then it's really just kind of a business relationship at that point in time. The Bible even talks about the fact that as human beings in relationship with one another, specifically in the context of marriage, that we're supposed to have fun. Look at this, Ecclesiastes chapter 9, verses 7 through 9. It says, so go ahead, eat your food with joy and drink your wine with a happy heart, for God approves of this. It says, wear fine clothes with a splash of cologne. Notice it says a splash of cologne, not half a bottle of Axe, okay? Just throwing it out there. If you're under the age of 25, that was for free, okay? With a splash of, live happily with the woman that you love through all the meaningless days of life that God has given you under the sun. The wife that God gives you as a reward for all of your earthly toil. You see, you go, well, I don't know that I feel that way. Well, you need to change your mindset a little bit, right? But notice what it says. It's like, listen, get dressed up. Go out on a date. Have fun. Enjoy spending time with your spouse. This is a good thing. Embrace it. It's a positive thing. Have fun in your marriage. I'm not going to ask you to raise your hand because that would be awkward, especially if you're sitting next to your spouse. But seriously, are you having fun in your marriage? Now, I'm not saying like fun like, everything's great and what. No. Because that's different. Like, life is hard. Life sometimes really sucks, and it's really not fun. But you know what? Sometimes if you are connected with your spouse and you have had that joy and you've had that fun, even the most difficult of times, you can find joy in your relationship with your spouse. And in fact, quite frankly, that may be the only time and the only place and the only relationship sometimes where you find that fun and you find that joy. And so we want to talk about how we do that. So here we go. Here's the big idea for today. Having fun is essential. Having fun is essential for a serious marriage. Now, what I mean by serious is not like somber serious. You see each other and you're like, oh, that's a handsome man and an even more handsome woman. No, it's like serious, like it's real, it's legit, it's strong, it's a serious marriage. Man, they have a serious relationship. They're really, to be able to have that type of relationship, you've got to have fun in your marriage. You've got to have fun in your marriage. You've got to have times where you laugh and you're silly and you pick on each other and you're goofing around and stuff like that. And it's just part of the marriage relationship. If it's going to have a lasting, long marriage, you've got to have that fun. You've got to have that joy. Without fun and romance and sex, marriage is just reduced to a business relationship. It's just two people existing in the same house, living two separate lives. And quite frankly, I know as I say that, some of you are sitting there and you're going, not only have I experienced that, that's what I'm in right now. And it's just kind of like a dust bowl. There's nothing. There's no lightning in a bottle. There's no joy. It's just... That's it. I mean, we go out to dinner, and the only thing we talk about is pass the salt. I mean, that's it. There's no connection. There's no spark. There's no nothing there. And that's not the way a marriage relationship should be. Now, let me just preface that. Are there going to be times when you in your spirit, or maybe even out loud, look at your spouse and say, I love you, but right now I don't like you? Yes. Some of you are like, I shouldn't say yes. But yes, that's true. It's true, right? There's a disconnect sometimes that happens, and that's, by the way, when you have to work the hardest. Because having fun isn't just a natural thing. Sometimes you have to work at it. You're like, well, it should just come natural. No. Did riding a bike come natural to you? Probably not. Did writing your name come natural to you? Did changing your underwear when it was time come natural to you? Some of you are like, I have middle schoolers. I wish that was the case, but no. You're like, seriously, some of these things you have to work hard at, and then after you've worked hard at it and you've created a nice rhythm, it becomes more natural. And so you have to work at those things. So fun isn't luxury in marriage. If you don't make time for fun, you may not have a marriage for much longer. So I want to share with you three types of fun that every married couple needs to have. It needs to be a part of your life. And now, if you're sitting here and you're single, or you're single but looking, or single but satisfied, but really, you really want to be, but you tell everyone you're satisfied so they'll stop asking you about stuff. For this series and for this time, my challenge to you is, okay, be thinking about the future. You're like, okay, I need to process through things. What do I need to change to be able to be the person that I need to be, for whom I too is eventually going to become? Who that person is that God's going to bring into my life. One of the things we tell our girls when it comes to dating and romance and that type of thing is the most important thing you can do is pursue God and become the person that God has created you to be. And as you're pursuing God and you're running that race, what's going to happen is eventually you're going to see somebody out of the corner of your eye running the same race that you're running, and you're going to go, hey, do you want to run together? And that's the way that God kind of works things. If, however, you constantly are out there looking for the guy or looking for the girl, you're gonna fall for, or you're going to take a chance on the first person that's willing to give you a chance, and you know what? Those typically don't end up well. It is better to wait and be correctly matched than to jump the gun and regret it for the rest of your life. So my challenge to you, if you're not married, you're looking to be married at some point in time, is take a deep breath, take your time, be who God created you to be, make it a part of your prayer life. It's okay. My statement to you would be, though, when you go out on that first date, don't say, listen, I've been praying for you for 27 years. Okay, that probably shouldn't do that. But seriously, it's okay. You're like, is that okay to pray for that? Yes, it's okay to pray for that. It is absolutely okay to pray for that. And so you're like, listen, I've been down that road before. I don't ever want to do that again, and that's okay. God can use you. The guy that wrote half the New Testament was a guy named Paul who wasn't married. Can God use you? Yeah, I think so. So that's okay. Okay, so as we're walking through this, just understand that and kind of put it in your context. So here are the three types. The first type of fun is face-to-face fun. Face-to-face fun, right? You're looking at each other. You're talking. You're having those conversations. Now, I know some of you right now are really tempted. You're like, I want to see if I can fill out the rest of the blanks and see where he's going with this. Don't. Okay, so face-to-face fun, right? You're having those conversations. You're talking. You're engaging. Think about when you were dating, right? When you were dating your spouse. And you're like, man, you would get on the phone. And guys, because guys, we're not talkers by nature, typically. There are some weird guys that are talkers by nature. Most guys are not talkers by nature. Like we're just like, yes, no, good conversation. I mean, that's kind of the way we are. But when you were dating, when you were pursuing your wife, your future bride, you would stay on the phone till 2 o'clock in the morning talking with her and listening to her. And then you did the most irritating thing to everybody in earshot. No, you hang up. You hang up. No, you hang up. Okay, I'm going to hang up now. I didn't really hang up. And everyone wants to slap you. Okay, but that's the way that it was, right? Because you wanted to hear their voice and you wanted to talk to them and you wanted to learn about them. And now it's like, your spouse goes, hey, do you want to talk? And you're like, oh. I mean, if we have to. I mean, I know I've got the DVR and, but I might miss something and, okay. Can you at least make it highlights, just bullet points so that it's not... And you're like, yeah. And let me put a timer on my phone. And when the timer goes off, no, just don't do that, okay? So, unfortunately, nowadays, instead of the 2 a.m. conversations, most of your communication is about schedules. Are you going to take Johnny? Are you going to take Sally? Are you going to go this way? Are you going to do this? And who's doing this? And why didn't you do this? And did you put that on the grocery list? And why are we out of milk? Well, because... I spilled it all over the place, and I cleaned it up with all your good towels, so it's fine. Just things like that. That's your conversation. That's how it typically is. But I want you to see in Song of Solomon, chapter 4, verses 8 through 11, and I want you to see the face-to-face conversation that takes place here. And listen, especially guys, listen to the specificity. That's a big word. But listen to the specificity within which this guy communicates about and to his bride. He says, come with me from Lebanon, my bride. Come with me from Lebanon. Come down to Mount Amana. You have captured my heart, my treasure, my bride. You hold it hostage with one glance of your eyes, with a single jewel of your necklace. Your love delights me, my treasure, my bride. Your love is better than wine. Your perfume more fragrant than spices. Your lips are as sweet as nectar, my bride. Honey and milk are under your tongue. Your clothes are scented with the cedars of Lebanon. You're like, gosh. Every guy in the room's going, I got to write a stinking poem or something this week after that. But notice the details. He's like, man, you've captured my heart. You're my treasure. You're my bride. Listen, I love your necklace. That necklace is so awesome. It is phenomenal. And I don't know what that perfume is, but that is intoxicating perfume. It is just fantastic. And even your clothes, what is that? Did you throw wood in the wash with you? Because that smells fantastic. That cedar aroma is just, is that bouncy, wood smell? I don't, what is that? And there's conversation. He is not really saying anything all that great and fantastic, but what he's doing is he's opening up a conversation. And he's saying, hey, let's talk, and we're going to start with sharing what I think you're fantastic. And their conversation begins, and it begins to happen. And unfortunately today, a lot of times in our marriages, and guys, I'm just going to harp on you for just a second because this is kind of the issue that I think as men we struggle with most. Our wife goes and gets herself beautified and puts on, a little black dress, or she puts on her pantsuit that she thinks she looks fantastic in, and she does her hair and she does her makeup, and like 7 hours later she comes out and she says to you, how do I look? And you go, fine. Now here's the thing. You think you've just told your wife she looks fine. She's thinking, for all that effort, I get fine? Seriously? Fine? Because guys, and ladies, this may help you a little bit. Men are headline people. We want the bullet points. When guys talk, it's like, hey, I went to lunch with Mike today, and by the way, they're doing fine. That's the conversation, right? And so, you come home to your wife and you say to your wife, hey, Mike and Susie, I know we've been praying for them because they've been struggling. I went to lunch with Mike today and they're fine. You as a wife are going, whoa. You went to lunch? Where did you go to lunch? How did you get there? What was the weather like? Did you walk? Did you guys have, what place did you go to? What was that? Was it good food there? How was your waiter? What kind of food did you get? What did he say? What did he say about Susie? Did you guys talk about me at all? I mean, this is, because seriously, because as men are headliners, right, and bullet points, women are detail. because they need to know the context of the conversation, not just the details of the conversation. And so what happens is because guys, we tend to be just headliners and, there you go, that's it. And then our wives start asking us questions and we start feeling under attack. Well, why are you asking me about that? I don't know. I mean, probably. What food? Why? What kind of food? I don't know. I don't know what the waiter was like. Leave me alone. It was fine. I'll be right back. I'm going to go in the garage. And so instead of understanding each other, what happens is we actually work against our spouse's normal bent. So guys, when you come home, prep yourself because you know it's coming. One way or the other. It's either going to be she's going to ask you about your day, and she's going to want to know, literally, when you stepped out of the door at 8:30, from the time that you walk back in at 5:30, what happened? And if you don't give her those details, you know what's going to happen? She's going to start asking you questions. And then you're going to get upset and you're going to be irritated. Now, conversely, ladies, listen, I've got 2 daughters, a wife. All of our dogs are even female. I swim in an estrogen ocean, okay? I have 3 sisters, 2 older than me, 1 younger than me. I literally have at no point in my time ever had a male other than my dad that had my back about anything. So I lose everything. So the reality, here's the thing. Ladies, if you want to be able to engage in your husband better, then back off some of the details a little bit. He really doesn't need to know what your friend was wearing and how great it looked on her. He does want to know about your day. He really does. But try to communicate more on his level and do the headlines. Has your husband ever said to you, can you get to the point? Don't raise your hand because we know that he has, okay? Because I've said it. Can you get to the point? Why are you telling me this? I just wanted you to know. Okay. So, but that's part of the conversation, right? It's part of being able to communicate with each other. Because here's the reality. As you communicate, you get to know each other a little bit better. You get to understand what you like and what you don't like. And here's the thing. You need to create time to talk. And especially, ladies, if you let your husband know, listen, I'm creating space for us to talk, he can prepare himself for the conversation. Be like, okay, deep breath, calming, watch a little sports for the next 45 minutes, and then I'm ready to go and have that conversation. And it's good. And here's the thing. It doesn't have to be painful. Some of the times, just really quickly, how many of you have ever watched Caribbean Life? Anyone ever seen that where they go to the Caribbean and they're trying to buy a house and okay, Tracy and I are addicted to that. We love that show. I don't know why. But we sit there and we have a conversation about the people because we're like, oh, I would not want to be friends with those people. She is uptight. She needs to get, there's something issue with her. And then we get invested in the places that they show them. Like at the end, they pick the stupidest place. We're like, what's the matter with you? That place had a pool, it had a view, it had air conditioning, and you're picking the shack that's on the beach because you can walk into the water, which is salty and sand that gets everywhere. You don't want that. What's wrong with you? And what's hysterical is that we're actually engaging in conversation as we're watching a stupid, brainless TV show that has absolutely nothing to do with our life, but we're getting to know what each other likes and doesn't like. I'm like, do you like that? She's like, no. I'm like, okay, I'll probably cancel that order then. Because you just get connected. So it doesn't have to be like this strenuous, let's sit down with a cup of coffee and stare at each other across the table either. You can talk to each other while you're driving. Here's an idea for you. Turn off the radio. You're like, there'd be silence. That's why you talk. Or at least turn it down. We drove back from Liberty in Virginia yesterday. We drove it was 10 hours. And 90% of the time we talked. And it wasn't, sometimes it was serious stuff. Sometimes it was just stupid stuff. But we just talked for the whole time. We're like, what did you talk about? I don't know that I could tell you. I'm a guy. She could probably tell you everything we talked about. I've slept since then. I don't remember. But I remember we talked the whole time. So carve out some time just to have face-to-face time because it's important. And you know what you're going to discover? You're going to be like, I'm starting to remember why I liked you. Because you get to talk. Because having fun is just, you're like, listen, we're talking and I'm figuring out why. Okay, so, just like, okay. Because having fun is essential for a serious marriage. The second type of fun is side-to-side fun, right? Side-to-side fun, going doing stuff together. Yes, you probably have to have some separate things that you do that's just kind of a you thing, and that's a good thing. But you realize there's this really cool thing called the Bible, and it talks about marriage because God created marriage, and he said that when you get married, you move from being I to being we. You move from being one to being two. And the two now are together as one. And if all the stuff that you do that's fun is you by yourself, there's an issue that needs to be addressed. If the most fun you have is when your spouse isn't around, there's an issue that needs to be addressed. So face-to-face fun, but then now side-to-side fun. And you go, well, what's that look like? Well, Song of Solomon, chapter 7, verses 11 and 12. It says, come, my beloved, let us go to the countryside. This is the bride speaking, by the way. Come, my beloved, let us go to the countryside. Let us spend the night in the villages. Let us go early to the vineyards to see the vines that have budded, if their blossoms have opened, if the pomegranates are in bloom. You're like, what in the world? She's saying, hey, let's go out tonight. Let's go out and paint the town red. Let's go out and find some place that we think is going to be fun and just hang out and spend time together and enjoy doing something together. And then tomorrow morning, let's go to the vineyard. Let's go to the wine place, right? And we can do some wine tasting and we can look at stuff and maybe there's a really, really bad cover band that's going to be taking place and we can just go have fun and spend time together. Just the two of us. Wouldn't that be fun? Now the hope would be that the spouse goes, yeah, that would be fun, even if he's lying, because the idea is side-by-side time. It's not about the event, it's about the person that you're spending the event with. Some of the places I've gone, some of the things that I've watched, I was like, I want to bite my tongue off right now because I think that would be more enjoyable than what I'm watching. Okay, so last year, I was telling you this, and I didn't check with Tracy first, so if I'm in trouble, I'm in trouble. But last year, there's this thing called the Indianapolis Ballet, and they just started their inaugural season last year, and Tracy grew up doing dance and ballet and all that stuff. And so I thought, you know what, this will be so fun. I'm going to buy her kind of season tickets, and then we're going to go together. So there was these 5 or 6, I can't remember, shows that they did, and we went to them. And I'm going to tell you right now, that is not my thing. Some of the places was like there was literally a room that only had about 50 seats, and you were this close to the performers, and guys in tights, not. But I had fun with Tracy, and it was fantastic, all right? And see, that's why you do it. That's why you do it, right? You go to spend time with the one that you love. When Tracy and I go out and we do whatever, you know, we hold hands everywhere we go. Part of it's because if I let go, she starts to shop. But I'm just kidding. Okay, so the reality is, okay, you need to enter their world. Don't just do stuff that you like. Enter their world. Do some of the things that they love doing. You know, go on a work trip with him or with her. You know, if one of you likes bicycling and you're like, I hate bicycling, but go bicycling and do that. If one of you likes walks, you know, do that, enjoy that, enter their world and really do that. Find a hobby that she loves or he loves and do that. Watch something that you normally wouldn't watch together. You know, ladies, sit down and watch a football game with your husband. Now, here's the thing. Don't ask questions in the middle of the game. Wait till commercial. Bring a notepad, write questions down, and wait till commercial. That's fine. Or halftime. In the middle of the game, don't ask him to explain it because you will not understand it. And that's where, you know, like the guy said he would go with you and think that sounds fun. That's where, ladies, you go, oh, uh-huh. Just let it go because he will try to explain it to you, and you will just let it go. Some of you are like, well, I love football. You're being sexist. No, I'm just working off of my personal experience. Okay, so you could also, guys, and this is a challenge for you, here's what you should really do. Sit down with your wife and watch Hallmark movies with her. And then discuss the detailed plot lines that are so twisty and turny that you would never expect That the guys that met in the first 2 minutes of the show that didn't like each other, and he was a doctor and she was a lawyer, and how could these two people in New York City ever come together? Yeah, they're going to get married in the end, okay? So just enjoy doing things together. Do something together that maybe neither one of you really enjoy, but together you're doing it together. Go grocery shopping. Some of the funnest times we have are going grocery shopping. We walk around corners and people are like, can you believe they were wearing that? I mean, that shouldn't be allowed. I mean, that kid or whatever, and it's just fun. You're just enjoying doing those things together. Maybe, gardening, you're like, I hate gardening, but hey, that's okay. Do it together. You can hate it together, and that can be a bonding experience. Or you can do one of these painting things. I've heard this new one. It's called Canvas and Cocaine. It's a rip, snort, and good time. Marijuana and macrame. It's just some fantastic stuff. And you're like, listen, some of you ladies are just going, I just want him to talk with me. I just want him to talk with me. Ladies, I'll give you a secret. There are 2 times when your husband is most willing and likely to talk to you. When the 2 of you are doing something that you enjoy doing together, and right after doing something the 2 of you have done together. Because that's when he feels closest to you. And you have that ability and you have that freedom to talk about the experience and talk about where you were, or you talk about the meal, or you talk about the ballet and how weird and awkward that was, or you talk about those things, and they become moments of experience that you shared together as you walked through life side by side. So you got face-to-face, talking. You got side-to-side experiences together, about having fun is really essential in a serious marriage. And our last point is belly button to belly button, okay? So you're like, oh, here we go, okay? But seriously, it is an important part of the marriage relationship, so much so that God actually talks about it. You're like, I don't think God talks about that. I don't think God ever brought that up. Actually, he brought it up quite a bit because God is the one that created sexual intimacy between a husband and a wife. And God created it for your enjoyment, believe it or not. God created it for you to enjoy and be a part of that and actually engage in that. So I'm going to read one of the most awkward and uncomfortable verses to read in front of a group of people ever, okay? So some of you that are you're 35, but you're still in junior high, you're probably going to snicker all the way through this, but that's okay. So you're like, I want that tattooed. Okay, so I want that bumper sticker. I want that. So here we go. Song of Solomon, chapter 7, verses 6 through 10. Solomon is talking. Solomon and his bride talking back and forth to each other. He says, oh, how beautiful you are. How pleasing, my love. How full of delights. You are slender like a palm tree. And your breasts are like clusters of fruit. And I said, I will climb that palm tree. So you're like, he did, okay? And I will take hold of its fruit. As awkward as it is for me, Tracy's dying over here. So, may your breasts be like grape clusters. That one I'm kind of weird on, but and the fragrance of your breath be like apples. May your kisses be as exciting as the best wine. And the bride responds, yes, wine that goes down smoothly for my lover, flowing gently over his lips and teeth. I am my lover's, and he claims me as his own. Should have had some music playing behind that as I... Y'all, this is actually important in marriage. It really is. It's something that God created, and quite frankly, as you think about it, maybe don't think about it too much because we've got a little bit of time left here, but as you think about it, it is the ultimate example of the two becoming one. It is really the epitome of God's design and how God designed men and women. And by the way, 2 thoughts. First of all, sex is reserved for 2 people who have committed to themselves in a marriage covenant relationship. Outside of that, it is dangerous, destructive. It's like a fire that will tear through your house and leave you empty on the inside. Because when you have sexual intimacy with someone, you are literally becoming one with them. And because of that, it leaves you empty when that person is torn or left or walks away from you. The second thing I want to be real clear, this is why God created men and God created women. There are two genders, whether we want to talk about it or not. There is male and female. God created them both male and female. And so that's the relationship between a husband and a wife. God created marriage, the state did not. So when we talk about this, that's why we look at this in such a way. That's why we understand it. That's why we go, man, this is so important. So I'm going to give both counsel to the men and counsel to the women this morning, okay? Men, you need to work on your approach. Relax, ladies. Don't say amen yet because you're coming later and you may not want them to say amen to that, okay? Men, you need to work on your approach. Walking in the house and saying, hey, you wanna, is probably not the best approach, okay? Walking in and being like, hey, you want some of this? Probably not the best approach, okay? You need to work on your approach. Remember, you're a headline, right? You're like, you just want the bullet points. She doesn't want the bullet points. She wants the detail. Several years ago, I did a series, and I talked about the difference between romance for men and romance for women. And romance for men, we're kind of like microwaves, like push a button, we're ready to go, right? Any time of day, it doesn't matter. But a woman's like a crock pot. You got to start early in the morning, put everything in there, get the spices just right, turn it on, let it simmer all day long. And if at any point in time anything goes wrong, you got to empty that crock pot out and start all over again. That's just reality. And guys, you got to understand that. You got to realize that that's the way it works, so you got to work on your approach. Wives are like, how can you even think of that at this point in time? It's always there. Listen, I'm not kidding. Ladies, you know this. I'm going to say this, you're going to be like, that's true. Men can make anything into some sort of sexual thought process. We can be changing a tire and look at you and be like, mowing the lawn. If we thought about it hard enough, we could figure out how to make clipping our toenails something that we'd be like, clip, did you see that? Are you impressed? Because you should be. Okay, guys, we've got to work on our approach, okay? Seriously. It cannot just be an expectation for you. It has to be a process for her. You need to woo her, okay? You need to woo her. You're like, what's woo? Look it up. Ladies, you need to make an approach. Guys, we need to work on our approach. Ladies, you need to make an approach. And I will tell you that the approach will go much better when we're talking about satin or silk versus flannel or terry cloth. Okay? Do we understand what we're talking about here? Okay, good. Because here's the thing. As much as you want to have conversation with your husband, here's a newsflash for you. Men as a whole, I know this is going to be very surprising for you, but men as a whole actually want to actually have sexual intimacy with their wife, and more than they typically would. They actually like that. That's something that they think is a good idea. If you're like, I'm just not sure, ask your husband, he'll tell you. And then he'll say, listen, I can go mow the lawn right now if that helps. The reality is, there is that disconnect for some reason sometimes because you kind of have to feel it. You're like, well, I just don't feel it. Well, sometimes the action has to precede the feeling. Sometimes the process has to get out in front of the emotion. Craig Groeschel, in this book that he wrote From This Day Forward, I want to just give you this quote because I think it's one of the most powerful quotes to help women understand. how the sexual intimacy in marriage for men is perceived, okay? Most women don't realize that this is a crisis, the idea of lack of sexual intimacy. Lack of sexual intimacy is as emotionally serious to him as his sudden silence would be to you. Let me read that to you one more time. Most women don't realize that this is a crisis. Lack of sexual intimacy is as emotionally serious to him as his sudden silence would be to you. Our desire, and I know we've laughed and we've talked about a lot of things that are probably a little bit awkward. Probably every guy's going, yeah! Okay, but the whole point is not about one specific thing. The point is about having the best marriage you can possibly have. And this is a part of it. If you truly want to have a serious marriage, like a marriage that just, it's bedrock, it's awesome, you've got to incorporate fun. Face to face, side to side, and belly button to belly button. You've got to do that. So as I wrap this up, here's what I want to just remind you of. That idea of having fun is essential. But I want to challenge you to make a commitment. I want to challenge you, and don't look at your spouse to lead the way, because marriage is two people coming together as one, so it takes both parts to incorporate. You right now, before God, you go, you know what, I'm going to make the commitment this week to do everything within my power to have a fun week with my spouse. You're like, that hasn't happened in a while. That's okay. Like, I don't know that I feel it. It's okay. Step out in faith. Because God desires and has designed your marriage to be an enjoyable experience for the two of you. And so my challenge would be for you as the husband, you as the spouse, understand your spouse, understand how God created your spouse, and do whatever it takes this week to have a fun, enjoyable marriage together. Because it all starts with the first step. Because your marriage can be awesome. And we believe that every marriage is just one or two changes away from being amazing.